With injury updates and more, this is Pro Wrestling Central. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. When it comes to the future of WWE music, WrestleFeatures posted this report via BodySlam. Sources indicate to BodySlam that Def Rebel are currently on their final contract with the company, but no timetable has been given regarding when the contract expires. Another source indicated that the company is also expected to do some work with outside artists when it comes to music in the future, as they have recently with the likes of Mega Ran, Adam Jones, and Incendiary. Talent have been frustrated with not having much of an input regarding their music, so it seems that WWE may be finally listening to squash that frustration. As Kota Ibushi underwent surgery for a broken femur, with this injury occurring during AEW Collision tapings, Bryan Alvarez and Dave Meltzer gave an update on this situation. Alvarez said this on Wrestling Observer Radio: "Ibushi had surgery on his femur. Yeah, that sucks. He vowed to be back someday though. He said it can't end like this. Even if he comes back, it's questionable whether he can. I know that surgery. Some people walk with a limp for the rest of their life. It's a very serious deal." Meltzer continued, 12 to 18 months. Alvarez added, "He said the bone pushed through the muscle." Meltzer then noted, "One of his friends told me that the way he landed, if that landing broke your femur, which is an incredibly hard bone to break, thank God he didn't land on his neck or head. It could have been catastrophic. This is bad. This could be a career-ending injury even though he vows to return. It's a tough one to come back from." Alvarez then said he was really thankful to Tony Khan. Tony came to visit him, gave him flowers, wrote him a letter, told him, "We can't wait for you to come back." Asked if he could step into an AEW ring, Bam Margera told the Sportster, "He keeps asking me, so never say never. Our paths just haven't crossed yet for me to make it to one of his wrestling shows. But whenever he's in town, I always go skate with him, whether it's in Atlanta, where he lives, or in Philly. Skating is our thing. For a long time, I hadn't even seen Darby Allin wrestle." While Andrade made his return to AEW after being fired from WWE, he has not been seen on their program since his comeback earlier in the month. Bryan Alvarez and Dave Meltzer discussed Andrade's absence from AEW programming, as Alvarez said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "You saw the Don Callis thing, right? The birthday party thing? So they did that. Don turned 62. All the Don Callis family members were there, except for Takeshita, who was in Japan, and the mystery man Andrade, who is also not mentioned at all anymore." Meltzer said, "Where in the hell is this guy?" Alvarez responded, "Something happened. He disappeared. He made the one appearance and then completely vanished. He's never mentioned, and he had a match coming up with LaPark, gone from that show too." Meltzer noted, "There are people who know, but they're keeping quiet. They're not telling me, but they know." Alvarez said, "I know people who know. They won't tell me though, so it forces me to speculate, which I'm not going to do." Meltzer added, "As far as I know, he's still booked for a show on Saturday in Puerto Rico. He's supposed to be challenging for the Universal title down there. We'll see if that happens." A WWE fan on TikTok took aim at Jade Cargill, claiming he knew she sucked. Cargill left comments on this video writing, "And you're missing your two front teeth. Boy, F you and your teeth. Fake ass yellow chain, four-eyed F. It be your own people. Anyway, when I become champ one day, you can suck my dick, boy. Haven't watched in years, but you just know? Get off my dick, boy." On X, Ridge Holland revealed that he will not see his WWE deal renewed, writing, "I've been informed that WWE will not be renewing my contract when it ends on November 14th. WWE are still going to cover my rehab from injury, but my guaranteed pay will end. Quite frustrating to say the least, as I cannot work for another 6 months due to the aforementioned injury with a family of 5 to support. My career with WWE has been blighted by misfortune, but I'm still thankful and grateful for the opportunity and experience. The shining light that has always kept me going is the huge support from a handful of special human beings. I'm unsure what lies ahead of me in terms of wrestling, but going forward, I will be working hard to heal up, and in that time, I will be launching my own online coaching business, so stay tuned." Criticizing this move by WWE, Bryan Alvarez noted on Wrestling Observer Radio about a month ago, it was a TV taping. Ridge Holland versus Moose. Ridge goes down. Moose has to help him out of the ring. He broke his foot, had surgery. He's going to be out for 7 months. Today, he revealed that WWE told him they're not renewing his deal when it comes up in November. I guess they're going to pay for the rehab, but basically, he's unemployed for 6 months and can't wrestle. Dave Meltzer added, "Yeah, he can't wrestle at all." Alvarez then said, "In a company that every time someone gets hurt, they do everything in their power to freeze that contract and tack time on to the end. In 1 week, they fired someone who was pregnant, and they," Meltzer added, "Look, a lot of times people go like, oh, if Vince was there, this wouldn't happen. Usually, that's total BS, but I will say this, if Vince was still there, they probably wouldn't have fired him until he was healthy. They wouldn't want a lawsuit. The new ownership, they're cold. They're out for profits. No loyalty. Same thing happened with the UFC when Endeavor took over. People who helped build the company for years dumped. It's not even a financial thing. With the amount of money they bring in, they can afford it. It's just heartless," Alvarez noted. "Do you know how many wrestlers they could employ for years on what's seen as merch made this weekend? People are saying 90% of the crowd was wearing a shirt." Meltzer replied, "I paused the footage. It was about 35%, but still, $70 per shirt. Let's say they sold 4,000. That's $280,000. The obvious place for Ridge is TNA. There were people there that liked him. Providing an update on Seth Rollins being injured as he was seen with his arm in a sling after being beat down by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed on Raw, Ringside News wrote that Sean Ross Sapp reported on Fightful Select that details surrounding Seth Rollins' injury are being kept private. According to one WWE source, a clean break in the arm could be preferable to a shoulder injury. A broken arm might allow Rollins to return by December, while a more severe shoulder issue could lead to a significant shift in creative plans. Multiple internal sources reportedly credited Seth Rollins for completing the match, remaining in Australia, and participating in several additional segments. Seth Rollins did a lot while injured. That included a promo, a backstage segment, and a physical segment where he was beat down by the Vision. While specifics of the injury are unclear, some backstage staff expressed hope that Rollins being cleared for the segment suggested the situation may not be as severe as initially feared. Hopefully, he is back in no time, but the current WWE World Heavyweight Champion is in an interesting situation. Seth Rollins is scheduled to undergo medical testing to determine the extent of a possible shoulder injury following his match at Crown Jewel. The testing will go down in the coming days after Rollins' condition drew attention when he took a coast-to-coast that may have made a pre-existing issue even worse. Mentioning those in the Vision turning on Rollins during Raw, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer's Daily Update whether that changed the booking due to the injury or the booking changed based on a hotshot angle, because most likely Raw today with its early start time would have done the lowest rating in the show's history, so they wanted something to make people tune in. That could be the case. Touching on how this affects the War Games match at Survivor Series, as Rollins was expected to be involved in that bout, Fightful Select reported, "As far as creative, what is and wasn't planned, we'll get some more details on that as time goes on." Last week, when Wrestling Observer reported the plans for Survivor Series War Games, we were told that lineup was actually an option. Today, when we followed up, it was largely dismissed as not being the specific direction. On Wrestling Observer Radio, the match set for Saturday night's main event between Seth Rollins and CM Punk was discussed, with Bryan Alvarez saying they'd announced a triple threat match for the main event with LA Knight and CM Punk and Jey Uso, and they all basically took turns doing promos, talking about that. Meltzer added, winner in theory against Seth Rollins. Alvarez replied, yeah, we gotta figure that out. Meltzer noted, originally, the idea was the winner of this match would challenge at Saturday night's main event in Salt Lake City. But yeah, we gotta figure out what's going on from there. I mean, they couldn't really. Alvarez added, I mean, here's the deal. If it's not a serious injury, you cannot have him have a match on the Saturday night's main event. The next show is War Games. He doesn't need to have a match on that show, so you can really hold this off probably until at least mid-December before it's really like, why is this guy not defending the title? Meltzer then said, I think that based on what they did on Raw, that they think it's pretty serious, because if they didn't think it was serious, they wouldn't have done what they did. Staying on this topic, Seth Rollins' injury has sparked confusion backstage in WWE. Rollins' previous injury was seemingly a work, with many in WWE now suspecting that it could be a similar situation here. Dave Meltzer said this on Wrestling Observer Radio. They were told it was from an injury in the match with Cody Rhodes, but after being told his other injury was legit, many are not fully believing anything right now. In the attempt to work everyone, the lack of trust right now is pretty high. One source with knowledge of creative said the Vision were booked for plans together through WrestleMania, including with Austin Theory joining the group before things changed today. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.